to our Shaolin Talks. My name is Martine Miller.
My name is Janine.
And today's topic we're going to be chatting to you about is motivation. So how to stay motivated, well, what is motivation and what makes us feel unmotivated, how we can get ourselves motivated. We've got some amazing tips, haven't we?
Yeah.
So we've done a lot of research for you guys, and obviously from our experience as well, from various different people we've interviewed throughout the week. We're going to talk to you about what motivation is, how you can get yourselves feeling motivated, and yeah, I'm going to explore these things with you. And also, if you've got any questions, then remember this is a live broadcast, so you guys can write it in on the Facebook or wherever and let us know your thoughts on it as well.
Okay, yeah, I think we should start with what motivation is, as you said.
Definitely.
So, what is motivation? If you look it up in the dictionary, it gives you some kind of
What does
technical.
it say?
I think it's something like it's like obviously your drive, your purpose. It's what you what drives or your behaviors to certain things. So what basically makes you do things.
Okay.
Yeah. So kind of in my understanding words.
Yeah.
But there's also, I mean, I've done a bit of research, and there's different theories about motivation out there, you know. It obviously depends on those different kind of, so what drives you to get up in the morning, or what drives you to do a certain action or a certain thing, isn't it? So it can be kind of driven basically by different things. So for example, I think we might want to kind of narrow it down what you're talking about or what other people are talking about, because you have your basic needs, right?
Okay.
Sometimes obviously you're driven to do basic needs or to survive, right? Or to live, or if you have to provide for your family, certain things that will motivate you to get up in the morning to earn some money, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like once your basic needs are covered, you have other motivational things. You could be motivated for joy, to get a joyous feeling or a certain feeling, or for example, what makes you, if you think about it, if you're really really thirsty, so what makes you to go and grab a cup of water or something, so that would be like, okay, my throat is really hurting, I'm really dry, I need a cup of water now, So but what makes you also, again, what makes you go for the cup of water, or what makes you go for a cup of coffee, right? There's different motivation there, So you have, one is like your basic needs, motivation, and then the other one is more for enjoyment. You probably would go for your coffee because you enjoy it more, So that's where you have different types and different theories of motivation. They all explain it a bit differently, so you always can explain what, or kind of try to understand how you do think, or why you start acting or what makes you act, basically.
I always know why, I know when in myself, I always know what makes me feel unmotivated. So, for example, when I'm feeling tired, or it might be the same for you guys at home, so sort of ways in which you feel unmotivated, like you might not have any specific goals, you know? Like you were saying, you might not have, there might be a fear of responsibility or accountability.
That's a big one as well.
And also people can also feel quite a lot of fear if they feel like they're going to fail at something. So that makes people unmotivated. So if we look at those things that make us unmotivated, then we can find some really great tips. Another couple of things I looked at is, obviously you were saying your lifestyle choices. So the choices that you make in your life can determine on how motivated you are. Other factors could be, you could just be having a really difficult time and maybe suffering with depression, or you might be just indecisiveness, or one other key thing is distraction. You know, you don't ever get around to doing your task because you're distracted by other things. So your focus is a really important aspect of that as well. And I think how you combat it,
Mm.
because there are lots of people out there can tell you, oh yeah, this is what you do in order to stay motivated. Yeah, you need to be really positive and you need to be passionate and engaged in what you're doing. And all of those kind of words, they ring true and you understand them intellectually, but you
Well,
don't,
sometimes,
you don't know how to physicalise it. You don't know what you
Exactly.
actually have to do.
sometimes it's like, I mean, it's also if you're in a situation or if everything is really overwhelming for you, yeah, so, and it's like you can't actually see the point of doing things,
Yeah,
you
like
know?
can't be bothered.
Yeah, you can't
with
be
this.
bothered, or it's like it's
That's
all
thinking
too much,
loud.
or you don't know where to start. That's another thing. Is if you don't know where to start, that's kind of you can have all these tips, and you go like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I might as well stay in bed.
You don't know how to apply it, but I think, like,
Yeah.
I was doing a lot of research on the internet, you were as well, and I was thinking, okay, yeah, this is how you stay motivated. And I was thinking, okay, yeah, that's good, yeah, be passionate and engaged in what you're doing, okay. But then you have to ask yourself, okay, well, what does that actually mean?
What does it mean? How do
What
you
does
say
it mean to be passionate about what you're
How
doing?
do you know you're passionate about something?
Yeah, or how do I actually stay engaged and keep doing those things that make you feel passionate? And these are the things that we've explored, and these are the tips we're going to give you, which I think are really, really useful because there's so many different ways that you can approach it depending on where you're at. Obviously, at the moment with the COVID and everything, people are really stressed out, and I would say these are pretty difficult times, right? These are challenging times.
I mean, it's also because it's very unknown and uncertain times, you know, and that kind of sometimes brings you to a position where you actually don't know what's going to happen, how can I make things happen, and maybe that's also a bit where, because you're talking about setting goals, which is quite a really good tip to stay motivated, to have like achievable goals as well, and like obviously a big one, but kind of have it realistic for a certain amount of period, so you can actually what I've read in other theories was also you reward yourself, you know, so because if you have like tiny little goals, yeah, you actually then can reward yourself or incentivize. So sometimes motivation is driven by incentives. Like it could be, yeah, you get something.
What do I get?
So for some people it's obviously money. For other people it's food.
Food motivation. Why do we eat food? Wow, you know? Yeah, I'm looking forward to barbecue. Veggie sausage.
Yeah, or yeah, other things, you know, or spending time with your family or whatever. So there are many things that can motivate you and then be a reward as when you reach like a small step in your planning or what you want to achieve.
Yeah,
So,
I think sometimes when you're not motivated is because the situation that you're in sometimes you feel out of control. So these methods are going to help you to feel like you're more in control of the situation. And like Janine said, one of those is to set goals for yourself. And I think if you hear this quite commonly, you need to set yourself a goal. Yeah? Your instructor will tell you, you need to set yourself some goals, okay? And that goes in one ear and sometimes goes out the other. And you're like, well, how do I actually do that? How do you set goals? And how do you make them achievable? And I think it's really important that if you do set yourself a goal, it needs to be small, like Janine was saying, small, achievable goals that you can see the rewards at the end.
do you have a goal at the moment?
Yes.
At the moment, do you have a goal?
I have a lot of goals. See, for me, I've got lots of goals, but I think you have to stay focused on one goal and see it through. I think that's the main key to this is if you have lots and lots of goals, sometimes you feel let down when you don't achieve all of those things that you really want to do. Or if you set them really high, I really want to be able to do 1 million push-ups, or whatever. It's too high. So you just set yourself like a small goal. Like I was having a chat the other day with with a shifu, and I was saying, oh yeah, you know, when I remember the beginning many years ago, I couldn't do like one pull-up. You know, it took me such a long time to be able to do that, to get the upper body strength to do that. But once I was able, it took me a really long time, yeah, I'm not going to tell you how long it took, but a long time. But once you've achieved that, in your mind suddenly resets and goes, actually, if I can do that,
It's doable, yeah.
anything's doable. Because in my mind, I thought, oh, I can't do it. But you need to change your mindset, and you need to change it from a more positive way of looking at it. And those small, achievable goals can then amount up to much bigger ones later. So set yourself realistic, achievable, and small goals. Yeah, that you can get really good rewards from.
So would you check in or track this like on a weekly basis?
Well, I think you could do.
So it's like
You could. I've got a diary at home that I ring around. So for like my box splits,
like some people have like tick boxes.
Yeah, a tick box. Yeah,
I like tick boxes.
tick boxes.
Yeah. It's really satisfying to do that. I've done this.
Action plan. You need a really good action plan.
So that does help. If you have like a plan. So
I think staying positive is really important as well, and staying optimistic. So in this situation at the moment, so with everything that's happening around you, it might seem really negative. So lots of people are telling you can't go back to work, it's very difficult for you to earn money, you know, when are we going to be able to go back? When can I go to the hairdressers and get a haircut, for goodness sake? You know, my mum, bless her, she's really stressed because of, you know, hair and everything, and these small things make a big difference in people's lives. But sometimes you need to see the good in the bad. This is what it means by being optimistic, right?
But I think you need to train yourself on doing this, don't you? So because it's very easy to always see the negative first. I think you need to like really consciously train yourself on whatever you think is like, oh, maybe kind of at the same time, oh, I'm just thinking the negative. How can I see the positive? You know, I think a lot of people find it really hard to see the positive because there's so much negative around.
Yeah. There is a lot of negativity around, and we were chatting to Shifu Dave earlier about being in a digital age and constantly having to compare and contrast yourself with other things around you all the time. You're always being bombarded by that information. And so sometimes it's difficult to reset your mindset. And he was suggesting that a really good technique for you to do is just to, it's kind of like a self-development. It's like try and monitor yourself and be aware of when you're starting to compare yourself to other things or other people. Or sometimes we do this in our training, you know, when you want to achieve something, you look at somebody else and you go, wow, I really want to be able to do that, but I'm at this stage and I have to focus on what I'm doing right now. And sometimes the comparing can, you know, bring about some negativity, and you just have to kind of...
It's like when I go like, oh, I want to be like Martine. And then we're like, no, she's already training so many years longer than I do.
But in my head, I'm like, no, I want to be like this. We're always like comparing ourselves with what we want to have. But I think that's where the mindfulness is really great, because when you practice mindfulness, it allows you to stay in the moment, and it allows you to become self-aware of what you're doing right here and right now. So this is like one of the techniques that we help people to do when they're doing the meditation, is to stay in the present moment and be aware of what you're feeling and what your thoughts are in this moment. And then it's difficult to be negative. It's difficult when you got to remember, when you're being positive, you can't be negative. So when you can't do two things at the same time. So if you're being positive, it means that the other side is not happening.
Yeah.
So
I think it's also if you really want to compare yourself to yourself.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Instead of kind of looking at what others do, you just look how was I last week? How was I a month ago? How was I a year ago?
Yeah.
You know, where did I go from there to there? How did I come here? What did I do? I think sometimes we forget what we achieved or what we've actually done to get where we are.
Yeah, exactly. And you it's kind of self-development, so it's like knowing yourself. Like, what are your, if you're analysing yourself for yourself and not comparing yourself to other people, then you start to understand what are my strengths and what are my weaknesses, because they're going to be different for every person. So you might be really amazing at one thing, or your company might be really great at one thing, and then they might not be so good in another area. So if you know yourself and you're honest with yourself and you say, okay, this is what I am, this is what I have to work with, then you know where you can improve, and you're more likely to be productive, you're more likely to get better results. And yeah, so I suppose another thing is just be honest with what your strengths and weaknesses are.
Yeah, I think that's difficult.
It's really difficult,
like,
because to look at yourself is hard, right?
Yeah, it's really hard.
Yeah.
And to say like, oh, I'm really weak at this, you usually want to say I'm good at this, I'm good at that, don't you?
But you have to see the positive in it. So rather than saying, oh, you know, this is not a great strength of mine, you say it's not a great strength of mine yet. So it's like trying to change it
around
to positive.
Really
it's not.
positive.
I don't have that skill yet, but if I set up my goals, stay positive, optimistic, have a good plan, start simple, complete my tasks, I will get there in the end. Yeah, it's good, huh?
So, do we also sometimes when obviously you look at other people to get inspired, maybe you have like a hero or like some other person that helps you to stay inspired. Those help as well. And
so gaining inspiration in different areas. So it might be a person, it could be a book, it could be quotes, or sometimes I find using like positive affirmations really help. So if I'm feeling not in a great place or I'm feeling demotivated, then I use like positive quotes to help me to gain inspiration. And there's some really great methods to help you to lift your mood or help you to get out of the space that you feel really low in. And one of them is, obviously you've got all the physical things you can do, like your mindfulness, you're staying in the moment, not fearing the future, because that will stop you from, sometimes fear also stops you from doing things. So, but if you're in the moment, then it's difficult to see, to look forward and fear the future or worry about the future. And another thing that I was exploring was actually feeling grateful for what you have. So, sometimes you feel negative, oh, I don't have this, or I don't have that, I can't get my box splits, or I can't get this, I don't have enough money, I can't get my hair cut, I can't go back to work, COVID, all these negativities coming down on you. But if you can look at the positive things that you have in your life, wow, okay, I have my health, I have my family, I have love, I have support. You can find the things that you're grateful for and fully express it. Sometimes not just thinking about it, but expressing it out and being grateful for things that are around you can be a really good way to change your mindset, change your mindset into a positive, more frame of mind. Maybe that can help. Does that help you?
It does. No, it does. For example, I mean, you can do this exercise. I think I've done this exercise like I don't know at some point last year, like really was writing it down. So it's like every day if you write, and you only need to write one thing down, like write down one thing that I don't know you're grateful on that day or that day. It's very easy, and it kind of gets the focus. Also, it gets focus on small things, and that also, if you do this, it helps you to find your passion. Where we talked earlier about we want to do something that we're passionate about. If you also also kind of write down every day, I'm grateful for this, or like a moment. It needs to can be like a tiny little moment. Can be like, oh, someone held the door open for me, or someone smiled at me in the supermarket, or really little things like this. First of all, you start looking out for these things. So if you really want to write them down, one a day, you start looking out for your one thing. Then the other thing is also you start kind of obviously realizing there are certain things, like certain patterns, and then it kind of leads you to also probably what's important for you, what's important in your life, and what makes you want to do things, or what makes you I don't know, either help people or do things with your family, or whatever it is that drives you. But you can see some patterns doing this, and then you find out why you're doing things and what your passions are, which is pretty cool actually.
And I think also a really important thing is to stay, well, there's a couple of things. So surrounding the people who you surround yourself with is really important. And you might not realise, but you need to surround yourself with positive people that are thinking about how you can grow,
Yeah.
you know, and optimistic people that are giving you support and giving you the, you know, sometimes we can draw people that are quite negative to us without even realising, and make you feel low. So you need to make sure that you've got those people around you that are, you know, looking out for you and helping you to grow. And the other thing that I looked at was this is avoiding distractions. You know when you procrastinate?
Oh yes, I do this all the time.
So you start off on a task and then...
I do this all the time. I'll be like, oh no, I can't do this yet. Let me do some washing up. Let me do some tidying up.
Yeah, or I'll just
Let's
do that.
This. Let's read this book first. I'll do that.
But sometimes you might not realise, but sometimes we use those as an excuse to not do the things that we're meant to be doing. So if we can recognise those small things and stay focused, and you know, remember what your goal is, and work towards that, so commit to it to the end, then those things will kind of lessen off a little bit. You'll become less distracted by the things, or you'll check yourself when that's happening. Or am I using that as an excuse? You know, I don't want to complete this task.
I think
so
what you can do is you have a task that you don't want to tackle, right? I think everyone has this now and again, or something that's just, you go like,
how do you motivate yourself when it's
I
something
think
you don't want to do?
No, sometimes also it's like, you might need to force yourself to do this first, because then you can go like, oh, once I've done this, I'll do this first, and then I can do all the good things that I want to do.
Yeah. And some people are like, some people out there are frightened of achieving, or they're frightened of failing, and so they fear the fact that they're going to fail at something, and so they don't fully commit to what they're doing. So if you feel like that, you know, you're frightened of failing, there's a really great, there's a wonderful quote about being too small. Yeah, there's a wonderful quote. So about how your playing small doesn't help anybody, you know, or your being small in the world doesn't help anybody. So you just have to be the best that you can be in yourself. And remember that, you know, when you fail, that's how you learn. Yeah, when you see babies and walking around and they fall over, they fail. But they get back up and they keep trying, and then they learn how to walk and run. And that's exactly the same for any task that you're doing. Failure is not a bad thing. Failure is a good thing, because you're learning from them. If you keep failing all the time, obviously then you need to think, oh, well, why does this keep happening? But if you fail the first time, well, that is how you learn.
Yeah.
So you've got to see it from a positive point of view. That's what we mean about changing your mindset into optimistic, seeing the good in the bad. It's okay. Everyone fails. It's a normal thing, and you're going to learn from it. You're going to grow.
Cool. Yeah. So if we just kind of summarize,
yeah, that's good. Yeah,
our like main 3 points, like our main 3 in a few words to kind of guide you on the way to stay motivated. So one, obviously you already mentioned, is basically we want to basically
We will set yourself some goals.
set yourself some goals.
Yeah, set yourself some goals, have an action plan and rewards, stay positive and optimistic.
Stay positive, and then
Avoid distractions.
and don't be afraid of
Don't let your fear hold you back.
fear. Don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And there's lots of other tips that you can do, practical tips like mindfulness, staying in the moment, breathing exercises. So when you breathe very deeply into your body, it releases chemicals and hormones which give you, these amazing positive feelings, being grateful, and just do it. Just get on and do it. And
So if you've got some more tips for us, just put them down.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you can have a look on the website. You can join us through Facebook, through Instagram, through YouTube. We've got so many different social media places that you can send your comments into us and let us know what you think about our talks. And if you've got any ideas for new talks, then you can also let us know those as well.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.